ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching BrenNewMedia show today. Happy New Year's to you. It's 2019. You know, Valentine's Day is coming up, so I decided we're going to talk about wines today. We're going to get educated about wine. I have here with me today, I have Drew Glazer. He's with Bonus Beverages, and he's going to educate us on wines, the various types of wines, and tell us the best wine we should drink with sweets, also with dinner. He's just going to give us the whole history about wine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here today.
Thank you, thank you. So, first of all, give us some knowledge. Give us the history of wine.
Sure. Well, wine has been around for a long, long time. It's really as long as people have been around. I've read some things that say that wine has been dated back to at least 6,000 BC, probably even prior to that. Modern wine-making techniques have come around mostly in the last century with the varieties that we see today, but fermented beverage, whether that be beer or wine, has been around for centuries and centuries, a very long time.
We might have people watching the show like they don't know where wine comes from. How do you make wine? It comes from what?
So wine always comes from grapes.
Grapes.
Typically we break down wine into the type of grape that they're made from. We have two wines with us today. One is made from a grape called Chardonnay, and the other one is made from a grape called Pinot Noir. These are how we typically break down wines in the modern winemaking era, but wine has been around for a long, long time.
We're going to test these out today.
Yes,
also.
we will. Looking forward to that.
We're going to test this out. Go ahead. What's the name of the red wine that you brought today?
The red wine is called John Groshaw Commuter Cuvée. It's from Oregon in the Willamette Valley. And then I also have a Chardonnay. And this is from California. It's from the Central Coast, and it's called Hayes Valley Chardonnay. And Hayes Valley makes a lot of different wines as well. They make a Chardonnay, they make a Merlot, a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Zinfandel, and a red blend.
Okay. You know, you go to the liquor store, and those names on the bottles, like, how do you pronounce that bottle of wine? My goodness.
Well, it is a little bit confusing, and it can be intimidating. Most of the words come from French: Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon. They're all French words by origin, and we have adopted them in the English-speaking language. However, I would say if you are feeling intimidated or confused by wine, I would always suggest for you to find a great locally owned wine store here in Memphis. Those folks will be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. The question, is it best to have wine warm or chill?
Well, it always depends on the wine that you're drinking. Typically, we want to chill our white wines, and we want to serve our reds at room temperature. However, you can do it any way that you like. There are some reds, like the one that we'll be drinking today, that can be served cool if you choose.
Oh, okay. That's great to know. You know, always, you're supposed to drink that red wine warm, and you're supposed to drink the white wine with a little chill, but it's up to you the way that you like your wine.
Absolutely. I always tell people, drink it how you like it.
Okay. Now, what's the best wine to have if you eat sweets?
Well,
red or white, and then if it's red, give the name of your suggestion, your recommendation of a red wine that's good with sweets.
Well, when I'm pairing, I always try to go with a complementary flavor or a contrasting flavor. So you can go with sweet wine with sweets, if you like. That would be a complementary flavor. Or you can go with a dry wine, something dark and heavy and red, and that would be a contrasting flavor. And I think either of those things could be good. Again, it's just up to your personal preference.
Okay. What about white wine? Can you drink white wine with sweets or no?
Certainly. There are some sweet white wines, notably Moscato and Riesling, that I would suggest if you're eating sweets. This is a Chardonnay that we have today. Probably not the best pairing with sweets. This would be more for something that would be rich flavored, like your main entree, say fish or chicken. This is what I would serve that wine with.
The white wine with fish?
With fish or chicken, usually.
Or chicken, okay. So, your recommendation, well, you know Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes, it is.
And I have a question for you. It's the best wine, you know, this is the best wine, is the higher price wine, or you can get a good bottle of wine that's cheap?
Well, there are great wines in every category. You can certainly spend a lot of money and get a great bottle of wine, but I think that there are great bottles of wine for $8, $10, $12, and of course as much as you'd like to spend. But again, I would recommend stopping at a local store and asking some questions there. They can always point you on to something that would be great at any price point, whether that be $8 or $80.
Or $80. Okay, yeah, good. Or $100.
Or $100, as much as you want to spend.
It depends on where you're at, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so you want to go ahead and
Sure.
we can test it now?
Let's start with the white. We always, when we're tasting wine, we want to start with the lightest bodied wine and go to the heaviest bodied wine. So we'll start with the white today.
The white wine.
Again, this is
Okay.
Hayes Valley Chardonnay from Central Coast, California.
From Central Coast, California. Okay, now it's a certain way, what they say, you're supposed to do that?
Well, if you feel comfortable, you want to swirl a little bit.
Swirl.
And we always want to make sure and smell before we taste.
Okay. Now, what am I smelling? What did I smell? What am I supposed to smell? I'm smelling what?
Well, people always say, well, all I smell is wine. And of course you're going to smell wine, but you want to try to smell some other things there. What do you smell besides the wine?
Okay, let me see what I smell. I smell like a bitter scent.
A little bit, a little bit. What I smell is butter, almost buttered popcorn. It's kind of a richness, a little bit of a sweetness.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
Now let's
That's
give it a
right.
taste and see what
Okay,
we taste.
okay. It's not too bitter.
It's not too bitter. It's got a touch of sweetness, but it's still dry wine.
Right. It's like it's not sweet and it's not bitter. It's like in
It's
between.
right in between.
Right
It's
in between.
It's balanced, and that's what we're looking for in wine. We're always looking for balance.
And this would be great with fish,
With
chicken.
fish, chicken, even pork if you prepared it in maybe a light sauce or something like that. Probably not great with grilled meats or vegetables. We'd want to do a red wine with those. So in the summertime, when you're working on your grill, you probably want to go with something besides white wine. But of course, as we've said before, drink it how you like it. We just want you to drink wine.
Just want you to drink wine. This is really great.
I'm glad you
I
enjoyed
like it. I like it. Now, is this an expensive bottle? I know this is not really expensive.
Nothing that I have with me today is terribly expensive. The Hayes Valley Chardonnay is going to come in at about $14.99 at most stores.
Okay, that's great, and this is really good.
Thank
And
you.
That's
Thank
affordable.
you. I'm glad you like it.
That's affordable. If someone would like to buy their significant other a bottle of wine, I suggest this one.
I think it's great.
I think
I
it's
think it's
great.
great.
It's really good. It's not bitter. Let's talk about these headaches now. So you have a lot of people talking about every time I drink white wine, I always get a headache, but red wine I can drink, and the red wine doesn't give me a headache. So let's talk about that.
I think a lot of people begin to think that it's a difference between the red and the white, or maybe sparkling wine, or this. To me, in my personal experience, I haven't found those things. I just find that when I drink too much, I end up with a hangover the next day.
What's the average glass of wine?
The average glass of wine is about 14 to 15% alcohol, and it needs to be about 4 to 6 ounces of wine. That's what you're going to get, say, at a restaurant. A restaurant will pour about a 6-ounce glass of wine, and that's considered to be industry standard.
And the red wine is really good for you health-wise. Is that
It is
correct?
good for you health-wise, absolutely. All those grape skins that the wine sits on while it's fermenting, they impact some great flavors, but also some great health benefits into the wine.
Okay, now which wine have the highest alcohol percentage?
Typically, whites are going to be slightly lower and reds are going to be slightly higher. But we're only talking about a couple of percentage points here. So whites are going to be 13 to 14 and reds will be 15 or 16. But of course, there's variation in both of those varieties.
Okay, now how long can you shelf wine?
After it's been open, white wine can go in the fridge for, I would say, up to 7 days. And red wine, since it's not going in the fridge, you've really only got 3 or 4 days after you open it.
After you open the red wine, 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days tops.
Okay.
Now, it won't make you sick. It's not going to spoil in that time. It's just not going to taste the way that it did right when you opened it.
Okay, let's try this red wine.
All right. To get out my wine tool for this one. I love those screw tops, but sometimes we have to go old-fashioned.
You have to go old-fashioned. And most liquor stores sell those corks.
Absolutely.
Right?
They sell
You
these
can get-
corkscrews $3 or $4.
I see that's a good price.
It is a good price.
And what's the price of this wine? And what's the name of this wine again?
This one is called Commuter Cuvée, and it is a
Commuter
Pinot
Cuvée.
Noir.
Commuter Cuvée.
Cuvée.
Cuvée. Gotcha. I love to pronounce those names. Commuter Cuvée. I will like that.
And I chose this one today because it is a light-bodied red wine. You've seen some of them when there's really deep, dark purple. This one's very light.
It
It's almost
is
a
light.
ruby color.
Uh-huh. It's not very dark.
It's not very dark, and I think this would be palatable to most beginning wine drinkers. We want to
Okay.
start with something a little lighter and maybe
Let's see
move
what
to
this.
something a little heavier.
We're gonna see what this one smells like, right? Let's see. This one smells sweet.
Yes, this one does have a little sweetness to it. I smell cherries and a little smokiness on this one.
Yes, I smell cherries.
Yes.
You're exactly right.
Bright Bing cherries.
Yes. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers to you, Brenda.
It's good. It's a little bitter. This one is bitter,
A little bit.
but it smells sweet.
This one is a great food wine. So we want to
Yes.
drink this, maybe not when we're just sitting down to enjoy a glass of wine with our friends or in front of the TV.
That's what I want to ask you the best bottle. Go ahead.
Right.
We're going to ask what's the best bottle to enjoy friends, but go ahead and continue.
Well, I would say this is great wine to be drinking while you're eating food. They complement food, like you said. Maybe a little bit of bitterness.
It's a little bitter.
It would be complemented by, say, a big juicy steak or something like that.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I can see that. Now,
We've tried some new things today, and I appreciate you tasting with me.
oh, thank you so much. Now, let's talk about if your friends around, you have a gathering, and what's the best wines to have at the party?
Well, I would say if you want to have something that's going to be appealing to everybody at the party,
Yes.
then you probably want something that's going to be a little sweeter. So maybe a Moscato or a Riesling on the sweet
Riesling,
side, and there are some
Moscato.
sweet reds out there as well. Again, just ask your local liquor store folks what they prefer, and they can turn you on to something great. But I would definitely say something that's a little sweeter and a little lighter if you're at a party.
Okay,
And if you're
sweeter
sitting
and
down
lighter.
to eat a big meal, then maybe something that's a little heavier, maybe a little more bitter, a little more dense.
Oh, I didn't know that when you're eating dinner, you should have a little bitterness to your wine.
That's what I prefer. But of course,
Yeah.
everybody's different.
Okay. We're going to take a break. We're going to play a game as soon as I come back. I have a game for you.
Fun.
We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're going to continue with my guest. We have Drew with us here today. Welcome back, Drew.
Thank you.
And Drew and I are going to play a game. We tested some of the wine earlier, and I still have a little left. This is a red wine. What's the name of it again?
Commuter Cuvée.
Commuter Cuvée, which is nice. Very dry, and Drew said this is a good wine to eat with fish, your dinner, chicken. So
Whites with the chicken, and then the red, I would say, maybe with a steak or pork.
steak or pork. Okay. Okay, so I told you we're gonna play a game. I said when we get back, we're gonna play a game. Okay, Drew. I don't want to shock you with this game, okay? But you're so well educated. You're lots of knowledge on wine. So I'm going to spell out the word wine, and you tell me what comes to your mind with a bottle of wine, okay?
Okay.
The first one, W.
W. I would say the Willamette Valley in Oregon. They grow a lot of wine there, and that's where our red comes from today.
So that's a red wine.
That is, it's a region in Oregon, and they grow both red and white there, but they're known for Pinot Noir.
Oh, okay. W. I.
There is a brand I know of called Irony. Irony wines.
Irony. Okay. Have you tried that one?
I have tried them. I think they're good.
They're good?
I don't sell them, but that's okay.
That's okay. N.
N. Oh, let's see. I have a brand called Cantina Negrar, and it's an Italian brand.
Okay. Cantina Negrar.
Negrar.
That's red or white?
They do all red wines, I believe.
Are they expensive?
Those wines are a little bit more expensive. They run $30 plus.
Okay. So, I mean, it's still, the more money, the taste is still the same, right? Or is it more smoother the more money you pay?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all wine.
It's all wine.
But if you want to spend a lot of money, you'll usually get a better bottle.
Okay.
But as we've said, you can get a great bottle of wine for $12.
Yes. Okay. E.
E. Oh, there's a brand I know of called Erath, E-R-A-T-H. It's a fun brand. And they are a brand that does mostly Pinot, and they're also from the Willamette Valley.
Oh, okay. And that comes in red.
Both red and white, I believe.
And white. Okay, very, very, very good. Fun.
Fun.
High
Thanks.
five. I love it. I told you lots of knowledge. He's well educated when it comes to wine. Let's talk about your business and how you got started in the industry.
Well, while I was in school, I started working in a number of restaurants here in town.
Okay.
I worked for a restaurant called Elfo's that was out in Germantown. Sadly, Elfo's is closed, but that's okay. And then I worked for a restaurant called Flight downtown, one of the nicest restaurants we have here in this beautiful city.
Yes.
And then while I was finishing my degree, I left the restaurant business and I got a job working at a nice wine store here in Memphis called Wine Market. They're on Spotswood, and one of the nicer premier wine stores in the city. I really started to develop my knowledge there. And I finished school and was getting ready to go into the professional world. And I found myself wanting to stay in the wine business. So I was lucky enough to get a job working for a large distributor, a wholesaler here in Memphis.
Okay.
That sells both wine and spirits brands. I worked for that distributor for some time. And then I left that distributor to work for my current employer called Bonus Bev. And we're a very small distributor, but we focus mainly on fine wine. A lot of wine from Oregon, from California, wines from all over the world. We have a lot of Spanish wines. We have a lot of French wine and Italian wine. So really from all over. And
Where are you guys located?
Our main warehouse is in Nashville, but I do live and work here in Memphis.
Okay.
And once or twice a week, we send a truck over from Nashville to bring all of the wine that I've sold during that week and deliver it to my great customers that I have here in Memphis.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
It's been a great job.
Yes. You know, my preference is red wine. I guess I need to really start doing more of the white wines with my dinner.
Sure.
Maybe.
I think that would be a great thing. My favorite thing about wine is how many different types there are and how much fun you can have with it. Every time you walk into the store, you can walk out with a different bottle. And I think that's, to me, the most exciting part about it is I love to drink what I like, and these are some of my favorite brands, but I love to try new things.
I do too. I like to try new things. Like they say, you shouldn't just stick with one bottle and name brand of wine all the time, right?
It gets a little boring to me when you do that. I like to change it up and do something different every time. And there are so many different types of wine that you can go home with something different every single day and you'll never run out of new varieties.
Try something different. And a bottle of wine is a nice Valentine's gift.
I think it's a great Valentine's gift.
Yes.
I think that just about anybody would be quite happy with that. And sometimes that person will share it with you.
Yes, that's right. We love to have that
Yes,
wine, a dinner, or just sitting around at night talking. It's so relaxing.
It's great.
Very relaxing. And they also recommend for the elderly. Is that right? For the elderly, a glass
or two a day, and it's helps with circulation.
Is that the red wine or white, or does it make any difference?
They say red has a little bit better of the health benefits, but I think you're fine with either.
No more than
I would say
recommendation?
Recommendation would be no more than 2 glasses.
And that's like what? Like not a full glass, but
That's about half a bottle. There's typically, we would say there's about 4.5 glasses of wine in each bottle. So if you drink 2 glasses of wine each day, then that would probably not be in excess. But every person is different, so know your own limits. But about half a bottle would be the recommended limit for the day.
so how many bottles your recommendation that people should keep at their homes?
I like to keep at least 3 or 4 bottles on hand of different varieties. Of course, if I know I have guests coming over or friends to visit, then I might increase that number. But I like to have at least 3 or 4 different varieties, so that way if I'm cooking dinner, I'll have something to pair with almost anything that I choose to cook.
What's the best restaurants, would you say? I'm not trying
Oh
to...
gosh, well, my favorite restaurants are the ones that I do business with. Some of my favorite restaurants in the city are, of course, Erling Jensen's. It's a Memphis staple. He's been around for a long time.
Okay.
And they have great, great food at Erling's. I also love Sweetgrass and I love Iris, and both of those have neighbor restaurants that come along with them. At Sweetgrass, they have their neighbor restaurant called Next Door, and at Iris, they have Second Line. And then 117 Prime is a great new steakhouse downtown. All those restaurants do business with Bonus Bev, and I think they're some of the finer restaurants in the city.
Great. Serve some, really, that's where you distribute a lot of your wine is there. Is that right?
Yes, and there are lots and lots of great restaurants in Memphis, but those are some of my top choices.
Oh, okay. All right. We have a little more. Let's just
Sure.
go ahead and knock this
Cheers.
out. Cheers. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Drew, how can I tell if a wine is corked or bad?
Well, there's a couple of ways to tell. When we're talking about corkage, we're talking about a very specific flavor and smell. And the best thing I can describe it as is wet newspaper or wet cardboard. If you can smell that in your wine, you know that it's been changed by a bacteria that lives in cork. And again, this won't make you sick if you drink the wine, but it is a very off-putting flavor, something that we don't want to drink because it simply doesn't taste good. So if you taste or smell that kind of wet newspaper or wet cardboard in your wine, then you certainly know that that wine is not good anymore and you don't want to drink it.
Okay. And also the storage of your wine. When you open a bottle of wine and maybe some people doesn't have the cork or not able to put that back in, how can we storage our wine once the bottle is open and you have leftovers there?
Well, we do have a couple of ways. There are some devices out there on the market. One is like a pump, and you can put a special cork in the top of the bottle, and then you can pump all the air out of it, and that'll help you preserve it for a little bit longer. But it's not indefinite. That's still, we said maybe 2 or 3 days for a bottle of red wine. That could increase it to maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but you really can't go any further than that once you've opened the bottle of wine.
Okay, so with this one, you have this top that you can
just screw it right back on.
back on. But with that
And
one,
this one, you're probably going to want to turn around. This side was in the bottle to begin with. You turn it around to the top, and it should fit back in.
so
a
you
little
don't
bit more
put
easily.
that same side back down. You like switch it over.
I switch it over
You
to the
switch it
top
over.
of the cork because the top of the cork is a little bit more narrow, and it's easier to get back into the bottle.
Oh, okay. Now let's talk about, say for instance, if your significant other take you out for dinner and they look on the menu and say, "Oh, what type of wine should I order? I don't know what to order. What type of wine should I order, honey, with this dinner? I know you recommend, the different red wines and the white wine, but what would you suggest to them? Just say, let's just give one type.
One type.
And pronounce it for them, maybe someone. And every time they go to the restaurant, they probably will say that same name
right.
that you suggest to them.
Well,
what would you suggest?
My first suggestion is just to look for anything on the menu that you might recognize. So any words that you might recognize.
What if you can't recognize none of
If you
them?
don't recognize anything at all, then I would start with something white. White wines are going to be usually a little bit more approachable, a little bit more palatable.
So when you go to the
beginning wine
restaurant,
drinker.
okay, you look you go to all white wines
Mm-hmm.
and you look. What are you looking for when you look for the white wines?
If you are a beginning wine drinker, somebody who doesn't know anything about wine, and you just want to enjoy something with your dinner, I would look for a Riesling.
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 So that will be on the menu.
L-I-N-G. Yes.
That will be
Riesling.
on the menu. Riesling.
So it will usually be, that's the type of wine. So they'll usually have the brand first. So it will say Relax Riesling.
Relax Riesling. That will be on the menu.
That would be on the menu, and that's one of the choices you could start with. If you see a different Riesling, say one that I carry is called VS Riesling.
VS Riesling.
Riesling. You always
That's
know
a
that
white
Riesling
wine.
is going to be a white, slightly sweet wine that's going to be approachable to a lot of people.
Okay, now what about the red wines? You go to the restaurant and you look for red wines. What are we looking for?
I would look for Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir, and that's what we've tried today. It's a light-bodied red wine grape. They grow it a lot in California, they grow it a lot in Oregon, and there are quite a few French varieties of Pinot Noir, but I would look for a California Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir. And there's different names of it, but at least that name should be in there.
That name should be in there.
That name, Pinot Noir. That's what you look for if you're looking for a red wine. So
Yes.
that's very educational to us. People who really doesn't drink wine, but maybe they want to try when they go to the restaurant.
Sure.
And we thank you very much for educating us today in wine. And I
Absolutely.
thank you very much for bringing the samples. It was
course.
very good.
Of course. I'm glad you
And
enjoyed it.
thank you. Thank you so much, Drew.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me today.
The world is yours.
Your eyes have slightly opened. The sun is widely open. The new day is finally
Today marks the launch of our disruptive ASC strategy. If you're a sales rep, this is a very key project for you. This is an opportunity to drive your core foot and ankle and your core bio business in particular. We've got a full team of people. We've got a lot of resources and a lot of focus behind this. We need everyone's help.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Memphis Energized, a half-hour television program that features important news from Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. I'm your host, Michelle McKissick.
Use something in your life to ignite a transition in your life to take you to a better place.
Hey guys, we are live at the Street Rod Nationals, and we are seeing tons of hot rods pouring in the gates now.
I love what I do. I've been in the hospitality industry for 20-something years, and I've worked in pretty much every division of hospitality. Every Wednesday, we do a team huddle.
I think the biggest quality for a successful entrepreneur is to be a good leader.